What's going on, YouTube? It's Raven Foxgood here, and so I have a deck profile for Tidal Mermail because I did manage to get 3 copies of Tidal, the Dragon Ruler, before the regional that just happened on Sunday. I went 5-4 with this build. Unfortunately, didn't do as well as I'd hoped. Wasn't expecting to do amazing just because Mermail isn't the top deck anymore, so. I mainly went to have fun because I already had my invite, and also I was there to support my teammate Shapeworks. And props to him because he took Dragon Ruler to 40th place and got his invite. So yeah, massive props to him. He's been working really hard for it, and I'll post a link to his deck profile on his channel in the description so you can check it out. But yeah, he did really well. This is actually an updated build. From what I actually ran on Sunday, just because I got some cards and I made a few changes. Not a lot, but still it's a little different. I'll just point that out in the video. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so let's go. We'll start with the Mermails. Is 3 Megalo, 3 Teus, and 1 Lead, the basic bosses. And then there's 3 Pike. I was debating dropping him to 2. In hindsight, I'm glad I didn't, because there was one game where I sided out one of the Pikes, and that actually interrupted a play where I could have made Abyss Dweller and probably won a lot faster than I did. So I actually still really like 3 Pike. You could probably do 2 Pike, 1 Sturge, but I'm not a fan of Sturge, so I just go with 3 Pike. 3 Lind, 2 Gund, and then for your landings we got 3 Dragoons, 3 Heavy Infantry. I gotta say, super rare Heavy Infantries are fucking amazing. They look beautiful. And yeah, I managed to pick some up on Sunday, so that's really awesome. 3 Infantry is definitely a staple, just because back row's not seen as much. So, but then you see a lot of huge monsters, so infantry helps a lot. And for the same reason, I dropped the 2 Marksman. He's still got that awesome effect where if he deals battle damage, you summon like a Dragoons or whatever, and he's a great thing to search with Diva. So I still kept 2, but 3 is definitely not something I was enjoying. And also I was running low on space, so I had to cut something. Back on infantry though, one play I came to really respect is that if my opponent like summoned like a Dragosack or a Scrap Dragon or whatever, I would flip Sphere in response to the summon. I'd summon Pike and I'd activate his effect and discard infantry. Pike's effect would be negated because of Sphere, but infantry would still go off and pop the monster. I did that twice in a match against a Dragon Ruler player, and it held him off both times, so I really like that play. And then that's all the Mermails and Atlanteans, and then other water support is part of the namesake of the deck, 3 Tidal, because it's Tidal Mermail. At first I thought it was a little silly to call it Tidal Mermail, because it's just Mermail with 3 Tidal. But after a while, I saw like just how vital like Tidal is to this version of the deck. It's like he runs a huge part of it. Like usually the games where I got utterly destroyed were the ones where I never got Tidal out. So yeah, Tidal's pretty big to the deck, which is why I think it's nice to call it Tidal Mermail. On that part, I even went to Stream. On the Mermathorn and Pojo, Stream has been something that's been like iffy, like back and forth. A lot of people are actually starting to get the consensus that Stream's not that great. I personally liked it because it is nice in certain situations, and it makes making an Abyss Gaios a lot easier. Plus, it's another way to get Tidal out. So, I actually ended up liking Stream. And then 2 Deep Sea Diva. Dropped her to 2 just because without Armor Kappa, she doesn't really do a lot of like super awesome plays in the current meta. Like, making a caster isn't that great in the current meta. She is still a little nice because she'll fetch you a marksman, or she can still make a synchro if you need her to. But it's like, I don't think 3 is really needed. And that's all the waters. And then extra support is 2 Valor and 2 Maxi. I did have 3 Valor in at the regional, but I feel like I can get by with 2. And that's the 34 monster lineup. It is a lot. As for my spell lineup, Monster Reborn. That is the only spell I am main decking. And actually, at the regional, I didn't main deck any spell cards at all. Yeah, I have Force-sided, but I didn't run Monster Reborn at all, and I had no other spell cards. The reason I did this was because in testing, I was realizing that the hands where I made really amazing plays were the ones where I could open up a turn 1 Gaios. So I wanted to optimize this deck so that 9 times out of 10 I would open with a turn 1 Gaios. And by the end of it, I did actually get that. There were very few games where I never made Gaios, and those ones were frankly the ones where I did really bad. The reason I dropped all my spell cards was because in testing, whenever I drew Heavy Storm and Monster Reborn, which were the only two spells I was running, I was starting to realize that those hands were less optimal than ones where I didn't draw them. So I figured, well, maybe I should drop them and see what happens. It took a lot of like willpower on my part because they're Monster Reborn and Heavy Storm. It already took a lot to drop Dark Hole, just because they're the big three spell cards. They should, like, common mindset is they're always run. But I eventually dropped it, and it really paid off to not have them and just have other cards that worked. I actually put Stream in their place, and that paid off a lot. My team captain, AC Lands, was also iffy on the idea, but after he took my deck for a test run the day before, he realized how good it was to not have any spell cards at all. At the end of the regional, though, I was missing Monster Reborn a little bit, just because there were some instances where I drew Stream and was like, well, if this was Monster Reborn, it could do the same thing. Or there were instances where I was honestly wishing I had Monster Reborn, and I knew it wasn't coming. So that's why I put Monster Reborn in. I didn't miss Heavy Storm at all. I think that was much better off in the side deck, and I sat it in the matchups where I felt I needed it, which honestly wasn't a lot. But so yeah, just Monster Reborn. And then there was even one game where I missed Dark Hole, but I figured it was against Dragon, so even in that one instance, I don't know how much it would have helped me. So yeah, my one spell card is Monster Reborn. And then for my traps, I have 3 Abyss Fear and 2 Breakthrough Skill. Simple and standard and stuff. That's the entire main deck. Extra deck, this is, I think, 2 cards different from what I was running at the regional. Beforehand, because this is a bit of a budgetish extra deck, because we pushed all of our support to my teammate the Shapeworks so he can get his invite. So he had like all of our Big Eyes and all of our Draco Sacks. So I had to make do with what else there was. Things that I took out after the regional were Gachi Gantetsu and Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charges, because both of those, in most cases, when I could make it, there was a better choice. Like for Gachi, the better choice was Armory Arm, or for Gaia Dragon, the better choice was just not making anything. The one time where I actually did make Gaia Dragon and it paid off was when I was fighting a Giria player and he had a Machina Fortress and I took it with Electric Virus, and then I just overlaid to make Gaia Dragon. That was the only time it really helped. So yeah. The current Astro deck is 2 Mermail Abyss Gaios. With Tidal and Stream, you need 2 of these, just because he is so powerful, and it's just like if your opponent manages to get rid of them, you have another one on backup, and just making rank 7s is so easy with this type of Mermail build. So I really feel having 2 Abyss Gaios is what really paid off throughout the day. After the regional, we actually pulled a 4th Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, so I get to use that, and so now I have a Draco Sack in the build. Still no Big Eye, but whatever. 1 Abyss Dweller, very helpful. 1 Bahamut Shark. 1 Abyss tried to work with Bahamut Shark. 1 Leviathan Dragon. 1 Zen Mains, and then for synchros we have Crimson Blader, screws people up. Unfortunately, every time I made Crimson Blader, they had a breakthrough skill ready, of course. 1 Scrap Dragon. I put this in after the regional because, A, I got an ultimate rare and it looks really awesome. Yeah, but really though, there were many instances where because of the 2 Valor, and there's also a 3rd one on the side that I'm gonna get to later, making level 8 synchros is incredibly easy. And the thing is that there would either be an instance where I wanted to make a level 8 synchro, but Crimson Blader wasn't the best choice, or I wanted to make a level 8 synchro, but I already used Crimson Blader, so I couldn't. And both those instances, it was just like, well, if I had Scrap Dragon, it could have done something. So I put Scrap Dragon in as well, just for that. 1 Gungnir, 1 Duloran. I never made him, but it doesn't hurt to have a level 6. 1 Catastor, 1 Librarian. I kept him in for the mirror match, just because if I did end up facing the Mermail mirror match, which I was actually expecting at this time, because between the 3 top decks, because I don't count Evil Swarm, because Evil Swarm is there, but it's not huge. It's the anti-meta. But between the 3 meta decks, Mermail is probably the cheapest one, because Megalo is the most expensive card, and he's dropped to $65. And you don't need Draco Sack or Big Eye. They're nice, but you don't need them. Whereas, like, Prophecy, the entire main deck's expensive, and then Dragon, you need all the expensive extra deck cards. So I was expecting to face a lot of Mermail mirror matches. I did actually see 2, and one of them, Librarian, did help. So, Because if they made a Catastrophe, I could run over at Librarian, and I actually did that. So that's why I kept Librarian, and I did like keeping him in there. And then Armory Arm. Card is too good. I actually did one of those nice plays where you equip Armory Arm to the opponent's monster and inflict damage to them. It almost got me game, but he negated the attack. So yeah, I still won that match. And then side deck is 3 Droll and Lockbird. I only sided these twice, but that's because I didn't face a single Prophecy deck. I sided this in round 1 against Gishki and never got it, and then I sided this in round 9, game 3 against Dragon. I sided 2 of them and I never got them. But yeah, it's Droll and Lockbird. Everybody knows why it's so good, this format. The 1 Veiler, I'm not manning. 3 Electric Virus. This is good against Dragon. It's good against, like, if you run into Giria or whatever. And it's also good against Evil Swarm because of the Infestation Terminus, which I was going to get to in a moment, but still. I brought up Infestation Terminus in the last video where I did Mermail without Tidal and instead used Abyss Osea. But yeah, I don't feel like explaining it again. It's Virus, Infestation Terminus. Unfortunately, the one time I faced Evil Swarm, I drew Virus game 2 when he just apparently opened really bad and never got Ophion. And then game 3, when he dropped triple Ophion on me, I never got Electric Virus, and it just infuriated me. So yeah, it would have helped if I had gotten it at the right time, but I just didn't. And then 1 Heavy Storm, because I'm not maining it, you have to side it. 3 MST. And I didn't have Imperial Iron Wall, so I sided 3 Gozen match. And probably would have helped in the Dragon matchup if you didn't hit it with MST. So yeah. Yeah, this entire side deck, actually the entire deck in general. And yeah, I went 5-4 with it. Let's see. Round 1 I went against Gishki and lost. Round 2 I went against Gishki and won. Round 2 I faced a mirror match and lost barely. Like it went to time in the last turn and he managed to hit me for damage. Round 3 I faced Dino Rabbit and stomped him. Round 4 I went against Girgia and got really unlucky and lost. Round 5 I went against Harpies and stomped them. Round 6 I went against Evil Swarm and lost. Round 7 I went against Light Sworn, which was pretty funny because Light Sworn's my deck, and I won, but that one was really close. Round 8 I went against Mermail and barely won, and then round 9 I went against Dragon and barely lost. So yeah, 5-4 record, not bad. It's still a positive number in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll post the link to my tournament report on Pojo in the description. I'll post the link to Shapeworks' Elemental Dragon deck profile because he talked with it and it's pretty awesome. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching this. In terms of like casual play, because I'm kind of done for the competitive format for now, I have been toying with like some casual deck to put together. I actually put Inzektor back together because I had the pieces for it. I don't think I ever did a deck profile for like straight Inzektor. Like I know there was that Inzektor Light Sworn thing I did like last year that didn't really take off. So yeah, I'm messing with the idea of Inzektor Agent, which my team captain gave me the idea of before it really like exploded. Although it never really exploded. It's just like there was a few people who do it. But yeah, so I might have a deck profile for that coming up soon. And that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, YouTube. We'll see you next time. Deuces.